Hey there, All Souls Community Church. It's Thursday, September the 10th, and I'm here with a special guest, the superstar, the man, the myth, the legend, Liam. Freshman this year in high school, Eastern Christian, representing. And this week we've been talking a whole lot about fear. And fear specifically when you're coming up against things that are big and unknown and you can't just kind of move them out of the way. And for many of our teens, that fear has also been about returning to school, right? Like not just the whole COVID thing and how we're going to keep ourselves safe from infection, but many of the fears that are exacerbated by COVID are things like, am I going to fit in? How am I going to make sense of this? How am I going to get lost? Who are going to be my friends? Who am I going to eat lunch with? Things like that. And as we talked about fear from Numbers 13 on Sunday, we talked about it in terms of facing the enemies in the land for the Israelites. Well, this dude here, Liam, you didn't face any enemies in the land, did you?
Some. Not
Some
too
enemies.
Many.
Okay, not too many. None that he wants to share on video, though, right? Okay. But as I was thinking about fear and kids, and specifically, my heart as a dad was, I want to protect my kid. And that made me right away think about the promise in Romans chapter 8, where Paul says, we've not been given a spirit that makes us a slave again to fear, but the spirit of sonship by which we cry, Abba, Father. So it's this idea that when we come into a saving relationship with Jesus, that what changes is that we are adopted into his family. So God is our Abba, or our daddy. And it says there that is what drives out fear from us. And so as Liam was going to school this week and trying to find his way as a freshman, one of my prayers to Abba was, Lord, would you provide for him? Would you take care of him? And so, Liam, what's one of the ways that you felt kind of that fear and anxiety as you were taking your first steps into freshman year?
There's a lot of people, and you don't know if all of them are going to be friendly to you, or if you can even be friendly to them and get treated nicely back. So yeah.
Well, that makes me think of the second part of that verse, Romans 8:15 and then 16, where it says that because we are part of God's family, here's what he says he's guaranteed us, that we're going to share in his glory, provided that we also share in his what? Do you remember?
Suffering.
His suffering. Yeah. Suffering's not exactly an inheritance that we want, is it?
No.
But God says he's going to use that to actually bring us into a place of experiencing God's glory. So some of your suffering this week was being in an uncomfortable situation, right? And not knowing how to kind of traverse those waters. Well, what's one of the things you prayed to God about specifically with regard to your lunch experience?
Well, just that I'd have more people to sit by, or new people to meet and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And did you find comfort even in being able to go to God in prayer in the middle of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you pray in English or in Hebrew?
Bit of both.
Just kidding. And so why don't you tell everybody kind of what happened? Because you had a pretty cool experience, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, it was just some juniors. They have this thing that they call Timothy groups, where it's kind of like a youth group, and so they lead freshmen in it. And two of the people who would be my Timothy group leaders, if there wasn't COVID and anything, they came up to me and they asked if I wanted to sit by them. And so I went over and I sat by them, and they're super funny, and there's a couple other kids there too who were also really kind, and so that was awesome.
So it was a little miracle there in terms of God hearing your prayer and then pursuing you through people that you didn't really know, did you? But I guess had you met them because they were part of your Timothy group, or you were going to be part of their Timothy group?
I hadn't even really met them.
And who did those people know? Do you remember?
Eva.
Yeah. So here's a great experience of when your older sister happens to be a senior at the school that you're now a freshman in. There's something about being part of the same family that then got you doors open, right? And got you some people that were looking out for you and got you some blessing. And even that is such a beautiful thing, because what you see is just the reality of it matters what family we belong to. There are benefits to belonging to the family of God. When Jesus is our older brother, he says he's going to share all of his stuff with us. He's going to look out for us. He's going to take care of us. And because of that, there are others who are going to look out for us. And those others, what do we call the others in our lives that happen to be a part of the family of God with us? We call that rhymes with church.
Church.
The church, that's right. We call that the church. And so, Liam, I just want to thank you for your courage in sharing your story with us today, because I know it's not easy, and there's a lot of kids out there that maybe didn't have the same sort of ending that you have had so far. So if there was any piece of encouragement that you wanted to give to your fellow teenagers, what would it be?
It's tough at first, but try not to stay in your shell and be friendly.
Be friendly. And what about the whole idea of God as your father when they're feeling pretty low and when they're maybe kind of having a tough day? Like, what difference does it make to have God as your dad?
Well, it's just like, you're never alone. And so even when it feels like no one wants to sit by you or no one wants to, like, just be with you, God does.
That's awesome. Thanks, Liam. Well, friends, I hope you were encouraged today with some good and encouraging news and just a little testimony to God's favor. Was this a huge miracle? No. But was it a daily miracle? Yes. And our God loves to give us daily miracles to remind us that the God who cares about even the hairs on our head, even the little things, is the God who says he's taking care of tomorrow and forever for us. And so whether it's finding friends to sit with you at lunch, or it's healing from sickness, or it's aching for a different kind of life or a different job or a different not a different spouse, but a spouse, whatever it might be, know that God is always with you and that he's ready to talk, that he loves you. Right, Liam?
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Of course.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.